It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 13th of November. I'm Michael Groff. Just another gorgeous day here in the valley. Temperatures fairly close to seasonal averages today, a little bit warmer for tomorrow, and then a cooling trend for Friday and heading into the weekend as another Pacific storm system moves across the area. Unfortunately for us, it's not going to result in much of any precipitation, but yes, that cooler air will make its way in here. Afternoon highs well below seasonal averages. And then next week, we should start to warm it up. We'll talk about all of that, plus the tropics getting somewhat interesting as well. So let's get into it here. A lot going on out there. First, we'll check that almanac from yesterday. 77 degrees the afternoon high, 52 the morning low, 78 and 55 are the averages for this time of year. Looking outside right now, just after 9 a.m., we've got lots of sun. And we're sitting at 59 degrees at Sky Harbor, but it continues to be very dry. Dew points at 19, humidity 21%, a light wind. The barometer is steady. Satellite picture out here across the west shows one system moving off to the Plain States, another developing over the Pacific Northwest. That will ultimately be our next weather maker. But for now, clear sky here in Arizona. The watch warning map, obviously winter weather conditions off to the north and west of us with that system coming on in. Plenty of rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest, moving into the Great Basin eventually. Convective outlook for today. We do have a marginal risk of severe storms for parts of the central Gulf Coast, Louisiana, Mississippi, southwest Alabama. But otherwise, pretty quiet. A little thunder for the Pacific Northwest as well. Now here we go. The tropics in the Atlantic Basin. What we're really focused on is this little area of disturbed weather developing over the southwest Caribbean, near the coast of Central America. And the National Hurricane Center giving that a 90% chance of developing into a tropical depression or storm over the next several days. And I would suspect by later today, this may actually form into a tropical storm. When it does, I think it's just a matter of when at this point, it will be named Sarah. And looking at modeling on what's going to happen with this. Now, the tropical model set is sort of the outlier right now. Most of our tropical models here, they don't develop this system. And the ones that do kind of bring it into Central America, some try to bring it a little north, but most fizzle this out. And at this point, yes, that is kind of the outlier because as we look toward the other models here, our GFS ensemble, the European ensemble, these models, this is the European right here. And it's, there are some members that do fizzle this out, but many bring it around toward the Yucatan and then to the northeast and hook it toward central Florida, somewhere south of Tampa Bay. That's the ensemble mean on this right now. The GFS ensemble, fairly similar. Yes, a few members do just kind of wash this out, but many bring this around kind of toward central or south Florida. And the trend has been a little bit further south, at least on the GFS ensemble with the last couple of runs, but we'll keep an eye on this. So there's still considerable uncertainty. Let's understand that this system hasn't even really fully developed yet. We don't have any aircraft that have investigated this. We don't have any of that drop sun data. So until we have that, we're probably not going to get a real clear picture, but this is what's going on with our modeling at this moment. All right, bringing it back closer to home, the precipitation outlook. This is valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, likely nothing. Statewide, precipitation should be mainly confined to east central and southeast Arizona with this storm system coming in over the weekend. And we're going to talk about this right now as we get to the models, see what the future may hold. Here we go, the GFS, the 06Z run valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Got a short wave going out into the Plain States. And to the south and east of that, a few strong storms are possible, but the same old pattern is really in effect. Ridging for the east, and we've had troughing out here in the west. Right now, a short wave ridge is developed for us, and what it means down at the surface for the rest of the day today. How about it? Sunny, a little bit warmer. I'd say highs somewhere between 76 to 80 today. The average high 78, so we'll be pretty close to where we ought to be. For tonight, mainly clear sky, overnight lows, mid-40s to low 50s. And then tomorrow, sunny, just a little bit warmer. Highs likely topping out in the low 80s for most of us. And this will be the warmest day we have for at least a little while, as by Friday we start to see this Pacific storm system evolving out here across the west. And so temperatures should slide back several degrees by Friday. I'd say highs still probably in the mid to upper 70s. Saturday, this system looks really impressive, but at least from a height fall perspective, from a structural standpoint, synoptically speaking, but the one thing it really lacks is moisture. Kind of weird because this is a fairly deep system. It actually traverses fairly far to the south and maybe even closes off into an upper low. The consistency on the models would indicate that will happen, but not much moisture. A few clouds in here on Saturday, and we will see temperatures dropping off as those upper heights fall. So afternoon highs probably in the mid, maybe upper 60s on Saturday. And some breezes around at times, but other than that, not much in terms of precipitation. And then here's Sunday. Again, we do see a little bit of moisture advection, but mainly across eastern and southeast Arizona. Ordinarily, you see a system like this coming on in, and it would be a fairly decent precipitation producer for us, but there's just not a lot of moisture to the south of us for this to advect on in here. So we've gone ahead and taken the chances of rain out of the forecast in Phoenix on Sunday. Could there still be a shower? Yes. I'd say the chance is probably less than 10%, so we're not going to mention it right now. Of course, we'll watch this. Maybe we'll reintroduce a chance of showers, but even if there are, I would say they'd be fairly isolated in nature. And so at this point, maybe some rain for east central southeast Arizona, but even at that, not a lot. Probably about a quarter, maybe a third of an inch of rain down there, and maybe a little high elevation snow. But again, high temperatures, yeah, they'll be cool, mid 60s on Sunday. Pretty much the same story on Monday, mid 60s for the high. This system's pulling off to the east and northeast of us, so rain for the Plains states. We're dry. And then as we go further into the next week, it looks like that system's going to move on out, and we're going to see a pattern change. Ridging is going to start to build out here across the west, broad ridging. And so temperatures should begin to recover back toward the around 70 on Tuesday. Here's a week from today. How about Wednesday, the 20th? Now pretty impressive ridge for the west and a trough in the east. And it's going to be this trough that if we do get this tropical system developing out across the Caribbean, this may start to pull it northeast toward central or south Florida. And so again, what you're looking at here is Wednesday the 20th. We'll zoom in on this for South Florida. And it's got a fairly impressive tropical cyclone. This is, given the pressure at least off of the GFS deterministic run here, this would probably be about a Category 1 hurricane coming up on Key West. But I want to emphasize here, unlike a lot of these people on social media that already have declared a state of emergency for Florida and they're telling you to evacuate now and all this. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen it. It's crazy what happens on social media. I'm going to say this right now. There is still considerable uncertainty with the evolution of this system. It's not even a tropical storm yet. So until it really develops, until we get a good core on this, we really don't know. I will say, could this happen? Could this scenario as advertised happen? Absolutely it could. This could also be a little further north. This could be a little further south. This may not develop at all. It may fizzle out. So a lot of scenarios are on the table, but the GFS has been advertising a system for central or south Florida at some point out here toward the middle part of next week. And that is obviously something that we still have to watch. Now, one thing is, with such a strong trough, this will be a highly sheared system. This is not going to be some Category 5 hurricane, okay? But whether it is a tropical storm or low-end hurricane, this could still be a significant system, and it will be a major rain producer with the dynamics of that trough for much of the Florida Peninsula. So regardless of if a tropical cyclone ultimately develops, I think a good amount of rain is likely for the middle and latter part of next week across much of the Florida Peninsula, particularly central and south Florida, with maybe the potential of some isolated severe storms at the minimum. So keep that in mind. Now let's go out 10 days. This is Friday, the 22nd. Still have ridging out here in the west. And so that would result in continued above average temperatures for us. It'd be pretty mild, and still that deep trough for the east and another trough developing well off the west coast. Looking at rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS ensemble. This goes out through the 27th of the month. So that would be Wednesday the 27th. That's the day before Thanksgiving, the busiest travel day of the year. And guess what? The GFS is not showing much rain around here for the next 2 weeks. Neither is the European. Both are under 1/10 of an inch. Both basically say, yeah, we're not going to see any meaningful chances of rain. And that's been the trend, down with rain chances. And looking at temperatures off the national blend of models, speaking of a downtrend, yes, temperatures will be headed down Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, below average, likely in the 60s, and those overnight lows in the 40s, and that's going to mean the cool spots are down in the 30s. Then we'll warm it up thereafter with highs getting back in the 70s. How warm temperatures get still remains to be seen. And that is going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions, or you can donate directly via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is that address on PayPal. It's groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona. Talking about my Michelle, check her out. Check out everything else that's Michelle related. It's linked up down in the description. And something that is Michelle and Mike related, because we're just a multimedia empire here. It's our streaming station. It's available 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. Playing a ton of music and have a lot of fun over there. So give that a listen, or you can listen directly at kmgx.com. But everything is linked up in the description. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. All of your continued support, so greatly appreciated. Please be safe out there and have yourselves a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.